If the data are pointing you in the direction of going forward, you want to start pre-selling the course. You do want to have a sense in your mind of what the course will look like, how it will be structured, what kinds of worksheets and videos you'll provide, and those types of things. Maybe you even write up a detailed outline to get your ideas down on the page. But you should not go forward with scripting any videos or creating any actual modules yet.
Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor, the podcast. I'm your host, Paulina. In 2019, I was a political science professor who was fed up with the stress and hostility of academia, not to mention the low pay. I left my tenure-track job and went from barely surviving to thriving as a freelance academic editor. Today, I own Acadia Editing Services, an editing and coaching business that brings in 6 figures a year. In this podcast, I'll discuss the challenges of academia, what academic editing involves, and what life as a freelancer looks like. If you're willing to jump outside your comfort zone, it is possible to find joy, true flexibility, and a profitable and rewarding career as an academic editor. Thanks for listening.
Friends, if you are white-knuckling your way through the end of this spring semester, I want you to know that you are not alone, and life doesn't have to be this way. I know how hard it is to love what you do, to care for your students and your colleagues, and yet to be utterly exhausted and burned out. When I finally decided to leave my academic job, my stomach had been churning for months. The anxiety was constant. My nervous system was waving a white flag of surrender, but my brain and the fear of change that controlled it just wouldn't give in. But I finally got the courage to turn in my resignation letter, and now, 6 years later, I can confidently say that I've never had work anxiety like that ever again. You absolutely do have marketable skills, and you can do the work you love. The teaching, the mentorship, the editing, delivering quality feedback, all of that outside your institution. You know how to work with students and scholars. You have those skills. You just need someone to give you the roadmap that shows you exactly how to price and market them. That's what my BAE program is. I'll tell you a little bit more about it during this episode, but I wanted to let you know that our May 2026 cohort is already filling, and doors close April 24th, if not before, when the seats fill. Summer is the perfect time for you to take a breather and to focus on yourself, land your first clients, and decide whether or not you want to keep going in academia for another year or make an exit plan inside a community of over 100 scholars who are just like you. They got fed up and they realized that they're not failures, they're meant for more. If this idea lights you up, go to acadiaediting.com/become an editor and get more information about our program and the upcoming May cohort. Or as always, send me an email or a DM on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help. Welcome to Leaving Academia, Becoming a Freelance Editor. I'm your host, Paulina. Academics are wired to build first and sell or publish later. We write the whole dissertation before our committee gives their full feedback. We often write the book before we even pitch it to the publishers. We develop our course materials before the semester even starts or we've met our students. Over-preparing is a security blanket for us. So the thought of selling a course or a group program before you've created it can feel terrifying at best and dishonest at worst. What I want to share with you in this episode is a way to reframe how you think about pre-selling your future online course. Instead of thinking of it as a hustle move, I want you to think of it as academic due diligence. It's your methodology check before you run the full study. So in this episode, I'm going to be discussing why building a course before validating it is a huge mistake and why academics in particular fall into this trap more often than most people. I'm going to share my own story of a course that flopped and how learning these lessons helped me make my current program, BAE, a huge success. I'm going to talk to you about what pre-testing and pre-selling actually look like in practice. And I'm going to show you how you can figure out if your course or program idea is actually worth building. First, let's dig into why so many academics are prone to build first and sell later. The main reason, in my view, is that we are trained to become the expert in the room. We are taught to do all the research, gather all the data, write it down on paper, and then share our work with the world. You don't present at a conference until the paper is written. You don't defend your dissertation until you've finished the study and are prepared to graduate. The preparation is the work. But in online business, that instinct is all wrong. There are two specific traps that academics can fall into here. The first one is the expertise trap. This is when you think, I need to make sure I know everything about this before I can teach it. But in reality, you probably already know more than enough to teach your solution or your information to your potential buyers. The second trap is the perfectionism trap. You say or you think, I can't sell something that doesn't exist yet. That feels dishonest. It has to be perfectly polished before I tell anyone about it. And this is the wrong approach again, and I'm going to tell you about why in a minute. To help you understand these traps and how to avoid them if you decide to market an online course or program yourself, I'm going to share a little story with you about my first course that flopped. So a couple years ago, I think it was probably late 2023 or early 2024, I spent weeks building an online course from scratch. I scripted all the videos. I made the PowerPoint slides. I bought a fancy microphone. And then once I had everything ready, everything polished, I spent an entire weekend sitting in my son's bedroom with the door closed because it was the quietest place in the house. And I recorded the audio and the slide presentations for every module of the course. These course materials were pristine. I had so many important tips, so many guides and worksheets that went along with the videos. I had a solid framework that shows people the exact process, step by step. And the course, I should probably clarify, was called the 6-Week Book Proposal Challenge. And it showed people exactly how to draft and submit an academic book proposal, including how to choose an appropriate publisher. I even had an academic friend beta test the course for free, and I got her feedback. She loved it. She wrote me some testimonials. And in my mind, this thing was fantastic. It was ready to ship. Really, I'm still quite proud of it. Actually, it's still available if folks are interested, but that's not the takeaway here, right? The takeaway is this. Even though I had perfectly, in my mind, prepared to create this beautiful course that was going to help so many people, I thought, the launch day came. I had a free webinar because that's what I saw other people doing to sell their online courses. I was so nervous because my biggest fear was not that no one would show up. And I vividly remember standing in my father-in-law's kitchen like the weekend before I was going to have this webinar. And I said to him, it wouldn't be so bad if no one shows up because then I would be the only person in the room. I would be the only person who knew that the webinar was a flop. The worst case scenario in my mind was that only 1 or 2 people would show up. And then they would also know that the thing was a complete flop. So, of course, you could guess what happened. And that is that 2 people showed up. One of them was genuinely interested in the course. I remember it was during lunchtime. She was sitting in her research lab. I think it was, and she was eating lunch and we were just chatting away. It was a great conversation and a lot of fun. The second person who showed up was a fellow editor who I guess wanted to just see what I was doing and was curious, but she left her video off the whole time. I tried to chat with her even with the video off. She didn't answer any of my questions. So I think maybe she was just curious. That's fine. But it really felt, I'll say, I really felt like a failure. It felt like a complete flop. And thankfully, I have the resilience that I was able to just kind of laugh it off. But it was definitely a learning experience. And, I didn't let that stop me. I kept marketing it. After a few weeks, I had only sold 2 or 3 copies of the course. And it was a $300 course. So it wasn't like it was super expensive. That to me seemed easily doable, especially if people used research funds or something like that. But, looking back as I was assessing what happened and whether or not I should keep moving forward with this, I realized that I had made 2 huge mistakes. The first mistake is that I fell into the expertise trap that I mentioned earlier. I felt like I had to learn everything in the literature and on the internet about publishing a book proposal. Even though I had published my own book, I had worked as a freelance copy editor for several academic presses. I had edited other authors' book proposals. And so I really knew the ins and outs of this process of how publishers assess the proposals that come in and whether or not they're going to take on a book. And I knew that. I had all kinds of behind the scenes expert knowledge that other people don't have. But I still felt like it wasn't enough. I felt like I had to have even more expertise and pour even more knowledge into this $300 course. I also felt like this course had to be the be-all, end-all of academic book proposal courses before I put it on the market. And I think that is another angle of the expertise trap that's important. There is no course that's going to teach everybody 100% of what they need to know to accomplish their particular goal. If your course helps them get ahead, if it makes this process easier, that's good enough, right? And, while I'm fairly good at avoiding perfectionism, so I was able to avoid the perfectionism trap, I think. I try to keep the motto, a good dissertation is a done dissertation, or a good course is a done course. I had no idea at the time that creating the course first was the wrong approach. I had no idea that I could or that I should try to pre-sell the course before I created it. And this is just a huge rookie mistake. So when I launched the course, I experimented with talking about different struggles and pain points that I thought scholars had with writing their book proposals. I marketed the course, as I said, as the 6-week book proposal challenge. And the idea was that with my guidance and my clear step-by-step process, you could finish your book proposal in 6 weeks or less while working just 2 to 3 hours a week, even during a busy semester. I mean, I still think that sounds pretty good, but for whatever reason, it never took. The second mistake that I made is that after just a few weeks of trying to market this program, I realized something really important. I absolutely hate talking to people about writing a book proposal. I got the idea to create this course because I thought it would be easy. I thought it would be easy to communicate this step-by-step process that I knew inside and out in an online course. I knew, and I'm confident that I achieved this, but I knew that I could create a damn good course on that topic. But what I severely underestimated was the amount of time that you have to spend talking about and marketing your course or coaching program in order to sell it. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. I think we are seduced by this idea of passive income, which does not exist. Maybe there are some very rare situations out there where people come up with a digital product and it goes viral on TikTok or something and the maker makes, millions of dollars. But that is not normal life. right? Especially if you are selling a niche product like an academic book proposal course. The reality of creating an academic course or program is that you have to sell it. And that is a full-time job. Or, like me, if I just work 25 hours a week, it takes up most of my time. I would say that about 20% of my time each week is spent running my programs and coaching clients, maybe doing some editing work. The other 80% is spent writing emails, doing work on the business, taking steps to get eyeballs on my content to help people decide whether or not my program is right for them. And this is just the way it is when it comes to selling online courses and programs. And so in order to not hate your life and your work, you really have to love the topic you teach on. You truly have to be passionate about it and passionate about sharing this message with the world. For me, book proposals ain't it. I'm never going to spend my days teaching people how to write book proposals. But thankfully, I did find my niche. I did find that helping people leave academia and start a business, that is the thing that excites me. That is the thing that I spend my days talking about, and I don't get tired of it. So what did I learn from all this? And what did I do differently when I launched my program, BAE, that made it such a success? Drawing on my experience of a failed, quote unquote, failed launch of the book proposal course and my multiple successful launches of BAE, I'm going to give you here a plan for researching, pre-selling, and launching your own course or workshop. Here we go. Step 1 is to test your messaging and the market. So let's say that you have an idea for a course or workshop. I'll pick something generic, like helping people navigate the academic job market. The first thing I would tell you to do if I were your business coach is to start posting about it on LinkedIn. Many academics are on that platform. I know that it has a reputation of being very corporate, but that is not the case anymore. You really just have to connect with and find your people in that space, and then the algorithm will learn what you like. And it will learn the types of people who like the content that you put out there, and you won't see the corporate stuff anymore. You'll just see the academic stuff. But I particularly like LinkedIn for a lot of reasons, but mainly because it is a place that people go when they are job seekers. And so in my case, I know people who are looking to potentially leave academia are going there to see what their options are. And if you are this person who's creating a program for people going on the academic job market, you would want to be on LinkedIn because that's where the job seekers are. And those are your ideal clients. So I would suggest that you start posting there maybe 2 to 3 times a week about things like the challenges of preparing for the job market. What are your clients' biggest struggles? What are their fears? What are their weaknesses? What mistakes do you see people making when they go on the academic job market? And by the way, when I say clients, you don't have to have had clients yet. You can still be a professor in academia thinking about how this could be your plan B and your escape plan. And when I say clients, I'm thinking about your ideal clients, the people who you would ideally like to buy this course from you. You can also write about your own experience going through this process and how you overcame those challenges. I think academics find it easier to think of marketing as storytelling, as sharing a narrative. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is marketing, right? Marketing is just putting ourselves in front of our ideal clients so they know that we exist. And you can do that however you want, whether it's giving, 3 tips to write your cover letter, or here's what I went through when I was on the market and how I figured out how to be successful. It can be whatever you want, as long as it resonates with people. And so the idea here is that by making these posts on LinkedIn, you're starting to build credibility on this topic. If your posts resonate, people will start to follow you. So try drafting these posts from different angles. As I said, you can use storytelling about your own life. You can write one post where you focus on sort of the negatives, the pain points, and the struggles and how hard the process is. You can write a post that focuses on the positives. So what is the client's desired outcome? Maybe it's, I just want to land a job that pays me a decent amount of money in a place I don't hate living. You'd think that'd be easy to do, but not in academia, right? So you can write from a positive angle, like if you nail the job market search, you can achieve XYZ dream outcome. You want to demonstrate empathy for your audience. You want to build trust. You want to make people feel like they're not alone, right? That you've been there and you understand them and you're not going to judge them because they're struggling in this. And you want your posts to show people that you're an authority figure on this topic. So after a few weeks where you've posted maybe 2 or 3 times per week, don't stress yourself out. Two times is fine. 3 times is great. Evaluate the data. What's working? What's not working? Have all the posts been a complete flop? Was there any post or topic in particular that resonated really well with people? And to judge this, you're going to want to see, were there any posts in particular when you go into the analytics on LinkedIn that led to more people following you? We don't care so much just about the likes or the comments. Those can be helpful, but the follows and the saves, you could see in the analytics if anybody saved your post. If people reach out by DM, they send you connection requests. Those are a bit more informative than those vanity metrics of just liking and commenting. Unless, of course, the comment is really substantive, like, this was so helpful, I loved it, or something like that. Now, once you have a sense of what's working, do more of it. Write more posts that are variations on those topics and those narrative angles. But for the next 3 weeks or so, as you're continuing this research, end each post with something like this. I'm developing an online course to help scholars prepare for the academic job market. It's going to include a clear step-by-step process to guide you through from choosing where to apply to negotiating your offer. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, DM me the phrase job market, and I'll add you to the wait list. This short paragraph at the end of your post is what we call a CTA, or a call to action. It's a note that tells your reader exactly what you want them to do next if they want to take the next step toward working with you. We think that that would be obvious, right? That if somebody's reads your post and likes it, that they would get in touch, but it's not. We have to tell people what we want them to do next to take action. Now, again, keep posting 2 to 3 times a week using the CTA at the bottom of your post. Do it for 3 weeks and collect the data. Assess again, how many new followers have you gained? How many people have DM'd you that key phrase? Based on these tests, you should have enough data to tell you whether or not you should move forward with pre-selling the course. Maybe none of this resonated. That's okay. Maybe you had a swarm of people DM you the keyword job market or whatever you used. That's great. It's all data that we are collecting in this process of moving closer to deciding whether or not we should actually create the course. Also, after these 6 weeks of posting from different angles and different styles, you should have a strong sense of what topics and themes and pain points are resonating with your audience and which you should therefore use in your future marketing campaign. Another important note here, as you're making these posts and assessing the data, ask yourself, how do you feel talking about this topic all the time? Is it energizing? Is it demoralizing? Is it exhausting? Could you go on talking about this course day after day for the next 5 years? I'm not kidding. This is a serious question, because if the answer is no, then you need to find a new course topic and start over. That's fine. It's better to know now than it is to go through it and put in all the work and decide you hate your life. So step 2 is pre-selling. If the data are pointing you in the direction of going forward, you want to start pre-selling the course. You do want to have a sense in your mind of what the course will look like, how it will be structured, what kinds of worksheets and videos you'll provide, and those types of things. Maybe you even write up a detailed outline to get your ideas down on the page. But you should not go forward with scripting any videos or creating any actual modules yet. In pre-selling, you want to continue your habit of posting on LinkedIn and testing different types of messaging. But now, instead of using that CTA I gave you before about the wait list, at the bottom of each post, you should type something like this. I'm finalizing an online course to help scholars prepare for the academic job market. It includes a clear step-by-step process to guide you through from choosing where to apply to negotiating your offer. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, DM me the phrase course, and I'll send you the details to enroll. There are some slight differences between this one and the previous CTA that I gave you, but the ask here is a little bit higher. We're saying that we want to hear from people who are actually considering enrolling in a course on this topic. They don't just want to learn more about it. They want to actually think about enrolling in a course. While you are making these posts, you can choose a learning management system. I use Thinkific because they let you create an account and pre-sell your first course for free. But there are others out there like Teachable or Kajabi. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. So just, don't fall into the perfectionism trap here. Just pick one and go with it. So let's say you go with Thinkific. You can build a landing page, which is essentially a homepage for the course, right inside Thinkific. You don't even need your own website at this point. You can set the price and the payment options, and then you set the course to pre-sell. When people DM you to get more information on LinkedIn, you send them to the course landing page on Thinkific. You give them that link. And then they can make their purchase right there. And presumably the landing page will have some more information so they can read about it. One suggestion here, you can consider offering a lower founding member price. The deal is that people who enroll now will have to wait until a specified date, say June 1st or July 1st, to gain access to the course. But in exchange for their patience, they're getting full access at a highly discounted rate. And that's the lowest price the course will ever be. Now, I want to be very clear about something here. When you're starting or running a business, you have to remember the age-old phrase, money talks. I don't care if 30 people join your waitlist in the first week to learn more about your program. That's a good initial sign, but it doesn't signal much of anything about whether or not people will actually buy. Your course is not a go until you have people pay real cash money to enroll. So how many enrollments do we need to know that our program will be successful? It's hard to say, and it will depend on the topic that you're teaching, the price point at which you're selling the program, and how widely you've been sharing your information about it. So maybe the best way to think about this is in terms of what we call the conversion rate. And this is the percentage of people who get information about the course. So for example, they go to your landing page and end up buying. So what's the number of people who buy divided by the total number of people who visit the landing page? For a course that's around $300, which I think is a good price point for a first course or program for you, I would want to see a conversion rate of about 3 to 5% before I felt comfortable creating and selling it. So that means that if 100 people go to your landing page, you should have between 3 and 5 of those people who actually pay money and enroll in the course. If that were to happen, that would be, I think, a strong sign that the course should do well in marketing it in the long term. Now, there's some caveats there, right? Depending on the topic, depending on the price point, some people need more nurturing and they need to develop more trust in you before they are willing to buy. It also is going to be affected by how well you communicate the takeaways of the course, the transformation that they're going to experience if they do this course. It's also going to depend on whether this is a standalone online course that they just do themselves at their own pace, or whether there's some kind of group coaching component or one-on-one coaching, or, something that's done live or in person. So given that I have no information on your actual course, this is the best I could do, as a suggestion for a podcast episode. If you're selling a course that's priced at $1,000 or more, those are considerably harder to sell through just a landing page or even through, say, an email sequence, right? If somebody signs up to join the wait list or to get more information, and then they receive a series of emails from you that are supposed to nurture them and build trust and move them closer towards buying the course, it's very, very hard to sell a course that's around $1,000 or more from just that outreach alone. Usually it requires a webinar or a podcast or other maybe sales calls, right? Where they get on Zoom with you and talk to you. So these lower percentages, though, are good benchmarks for getting a sense of whether or not your course actually has potential to sell. And as a side note here, I know that a 3 to 5% conversion rate can sound very low, but the reality of selling online courses is that actually selling a course at a 3 to 5% conversion rate is really industry standard. And it varies by topics, it varies by price point. But I mean, if I can sell a course that's priced in the thousands and have a 3% conversion rate, I'm pretty darn happy with that. So it takes a little bit of a shift in our mindset to wrap our head around that only, 3% of the people who discover us are going to buy. But that's, again, it's just the reality of the situation. So where do we go from here? Well, if you give this step a few weeks and you don't sell anything, I'm sorry to say it, but you might need to go back to the drawing board. And again, if during those 3 weeks, there's only 10 people who have visited your landing page, maybe that's not terrible, right? Maybe it's a traffic problem and you need to be driving more people to the landing page to get their eyeballs on the course and give them a chance to buy. But if you've had 100 or 200 people go to your landing page and not buy, that's telling you something. That's telling you that there's something off about the messaging. There's something off about the way you've written the sales page. There's something off maybe about the offer. Maybe it's not something that people are looking for right now or that they want to invest money in. And this is where hiring and working with a business coach who is familiar with your space and your niche can be incredibly helpful. Because, again, I speak from experience when I say that you're really flying blind if you've never sold an online course before. And you go into this process thinking that all you have to do is talk about how great this course is and make a really fantastic course that people will benefit from. And I don't doubt that if people take my book proposal course, they will benefit from it. There's no doubt in my mind. It's an excellent course. But there was something off about the way that I was communicating those benefits to my audience. And they were not looking for that. And I did not have the interest or the excitement to rework the messaging and rework the marketing and keep talking about it until I was blue in the face. And so that's why I gave up on that particular offer. So as long as you are passionate about your idea, as long as you are excited to teach this material to people, to talk about it every day, I say keep going. Just work with somebody who knows what they're doing, because they're going to be able to guide you in your messaging and developing your marketing. They're going to tell you if you need to change your language around how you describe the course and the offer. They're going to tell you if you're pricing it too low or too high. They're going to tell you where else you can find your ideal clients and your audience. And they're going to be able to take all of the experience that they've gained over years of selling their own courses and programs and very quickly help you to explore these different possibilities. And they're just going to, just like you know what it takes to publish an article, or you know what it takes to write a successful book proposal, or to write a successful dissertation and graduate, just like you have all that insight that you've gleaned from years and years and years of experience, somebody else who's a business coach who's done this before is going to have years of experience and knowledge that they can share with you and pinpoint exactly what's going on and how to help you improve your success. On the other hand, if you do get sales, you're off to the races. So if people start buying, that tells you something. That tells you that there's interest. That validates the offer. It validates your idea. So keep marketing, right? Don't stop posting on LinkedIn. Keep posting on those topics and using those styles and the framing and the narratives that have been working. Set a date for the course release. Keep promoting it. Keep selling the course, keep driving people to that landing page to get more information. Develop the course materials, get everything polished. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be good. It has to be helpful. And then just go for it. Keep testing your messaging. You might want to conduct some interviews, maybe a 20-minute interview with the people who, you could do this individually, the people who've already bought the course, to ask them what they were most excited about, or what was it that led them to pull the trigger and enroll. You can do interviews with people who signed up to the wait list or who signed up for more information and didn't enroll. And you can ask them about, what held you back? Was there anything you were concerned about? Was there anything that was unclear that you didn't understand? And those sessions, even just having 5 or 6 interviews like that, can be really helpful in uncovering what are people's struggles, what is drawing them to your product, what is holding them back from enrolling in your product. Is it the price? Is it they weren't sure what they were going to be getting? Hearing it in their own voice really sheds light on what's going on in the minds of your ideal clients. And then you can make changes. You can take the words that those people use. This is what we call voice of customer research. You take the words that they use to describe their problems and their desired outcomes, and you drop that language into your own marketing and your own messaging and make adjustments, and then try again and collect more data and do more of what works. For more on this, which is what I describe as a feedback loop in your marketing, you can go to episode 72 of my podcast, where I talk about developing your niche and thinking about this research and data collection as a feedback loop. Now, if you haven't gotten sales, or if you didn't get enough sales, or you decided you don't want to go forward with building the course, it's okay. You can easily refund the money of anyone who's enrolled and send them a polite email to thank them for their interest and let them know that you won't be moving forward with the course. It really is no big deal. And in conversations with some of my own clients and community members on this topic, I know that many people feel like it's unethical to take people's money before you have the course prepared. So let me ask you this. What happens when you buy tickets for a concert? or an event before it happens? Or what about plane tickets or hotel reservations? We buy these tickets, we make these reservations weeks or even months in advance, and we don't even think twice about it, right? Still, it's very possible that the artist giving the concert will get sick, or something will happen. The weather is bad. The plane will have mechanical issues. The flight will be canceled or delayed, or whatever, right? There's a million things that can happen. And when that happens, is the airline unethical for selling tickets in advance? Now, there are many things that airlines do that are probably unethical, but that's a conversation for a different podcast. But if they can't fly due to these mechanical problems or weather, that's not being unethical, right? If you buy your tickets in advance and for some reason the singer or the band or the plane or whatever can't deliver, it's just life. It's what happens. And while we as the audience or the traveler or whatever, we might be disappointed, we might be frustrated, we're not going to completely write off Taylor Swift because she can't sing one night, or, whatever, or some airline because they had to cancel or reschedule the flight. And it's no different when you pre-sell your course. This is just what happens sometimes. You refund the money, you apologize, you go back to the drawing board. Now, related to this, I really want you to hear me on this point. If you go forward and you don't sell any courses, or you maybe sell one or two and you feel like it's a flop, that doesn't mean that you are a failure. It doesn't mean that you're not cut out for this. It just means, to use the science and statistics metaphor, you got null results. You tried something, it didn't pan out, and now it's time to adjust and try something else. If I had let my flop of a book proposal course stop me from moving forward, if I had thrown up my hands and said, you know what, online courses are just not my thing, I'm just going to keep editing, I would have never created my BAE program. I would have never created this program that has now helped over 100 wonderful people who've joined our community in the last 18 months to start their own businesses and to create new lives for themselves. If I had let that silly book proposal course stop me, I would have never gone on to these bigger and better and more exciting things. This thing that I am truly passionate to focus on. So remember, we are always experimenting. We are still scientists. We are trying things. We are practicing that feedback loop. And we are always trying to just do more of what works and less of what doesn't. In closing, if you've been sitting on a course idea or a coaching offer or a group program or anything, a workshop, anything that it is that you're thinking about doing, this episode is your permission to not build it yet. Do the pre-tests, gather the data, talk with your people about your idea, see what they think, talk to people in person, search the internet, look on Reddit for people who are struggling with this problem, look in Facebook groups for people who are struggling with this problem, think about how they talk about it. Gather the data and keep retesting until you find what works. This process is exactly what I teach inside BAE. We look at marketing not as a used car salesman or a marketing bro, but as scientists. We identify the types of people we love to work with and want to support, those people who really light you up. And then we practice inside our 12-week live coaching sessions how to talk about the work we do in a way that attracts our ideal clients. So BAE is for you if you're an academic or former academic who wants to build a freelance editing or coaching business with a clear roadmap and community support. You don't have to do this alone. You can do it in a community with other academics who were fed up with the restrictions and the toxicity of higher ed, and they decided to take their knowledge and their skills and put them to use in their own business, where they have full control of their schedule and who they work with every day. If this sounds like a fit for you, get more information at acadiaediting.com/become-an-editor. The doors to our May cohort are closing on April 24th. This is our only summer cohort, so do not miss this opportunity to use this summer to change your life. As always, like and follow, share this episode, DM me or email me if you have any questions. I'll see you next week.
If you're unhappy in academia and you think you might be a good editor or writing coach, check out my course, Becoming an Academic Editor. This digital course is paired with a 12-week group coaching program to support you through your decision to leave academia or not, and to start building a profitable and rewarding academic editing business. Learn more by going to acadiaediting.com/become-an-editor. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.